Well, welcome everyone to today's webinar hosted by the Tourism Technology Department of TINB, the Tourism Industry Association of New Brunswick. If you're just joining us, you can chat using the chat icon bubble at the bottom center of your screen. So today we're going to be talking about how to improve your Google rankings with business listings. We're going to be about 30 minutes, roughly 25 minutes for the webinar and another 5 minutes for Q&A. If it takes a little longer, I'm happy to stay. And if you have any questions for me throughout this webinar, feel free to ask. There's the chat bubble icon. It's in the lower part of your screen. I will try to get back to you during the Q&A at the end. I won't be responding while I'm presenting because I'm only one person and I just can't do it. So my name is Jason Ferris. I've been working in the IT department, in the IT industry rather, first in Toronto and now here in Fredericton for over 20 years now. Of that, over a decade has been in web design, SEO, and online marketing. I understand the struggle of trying to get to the top of search results. It seems like a never-ending job, and worse, the rules are constantly changing. So let's get right into learning how to give your search result rankings a boost. Specifically your local listings. Anyone in travel and tourism would want to focus on local results. One of the major factors that go into better local rankings are business listings, also known as citations. So what is a local citation? A citation is a mention of your name, address, and phone number, also sometimes called NAP, N-A-P. Here's an example of a structured citation on Yelp. It has the business name, address, and phone number. This citation has a link, and that's a good thing, but it doesn't need to. As long as it mentions your name, address, and phone number, Google's algorithm will pick it up and give you credit for it. The more places that mention your specific business, and Google can associate it with your business, it factors into the prominence element of the local search algorithm. This is another example of a structured citation on Yellow Pages. It has the business name, address, and phone number. In fact, multiple phone numbers, and we'll touch on that a little later. So where do you find all these sites to be listed on? Well, right off the bat, this is a list of Canadian sources for you. These are the most important sites to be listed on in Canada. They're based off of 8 specific factors, including how many pages are indexed on the site, how many links go to the site, what is the domain authority of the site, how easy it is to manage listings there, and are they responsive to support requests, and so on. Business listings, like ones on Yellow Pages or Yelp, are called structured citations. They're basically listings on sites that are specifically about that. They're a directory of businesses. Unstructured citations are also extremely valuable. This is basically, it's a mention of your business appearing on things like blogs, newspaper sites, wikis, other business websites. Basically, any site that mentions you online that isn't a traditional business listing directory, we call that an unstructured citation. And these are a lot harder to get because, of course, you can't just submit your listing to a newspaper or a blog. So they carry a lot of weight, and they can provide great value for your local search, even if you don't have a link from it. If a local blog mentions your hotel and you're not getting a link, that still provides great value for you. That would be called an unstructured citation, assuming they list your name, address, and phone number. Things have changed a little over time. The algorithms at Google are much more sophisticated now, so the actual link isn't as necessary as it used to be. Here's an interesting example of a restaurant mentioned in CBC News. All they really mention here is the business name and the location. Fredericton is actually mentioned a little bit further down in the article, and you can see the Ville on screen. That's a community center in the area. They don't mention the phone number anywhere in the article. Nowhere does it reference the specific address or the phone number, but this is still an unstructured citation because Google is smart enough to say, well, King Pacal in Fredericton, they must be referring to this King Pacal restaurant. So they can understand, they differentiate where these people or where these listings are actually at. The algorithm is pretty smart. and it can pick up on these things. It doesn't always have to be all three elements, name, address, and phone. As long as Google can identify the business, you'll get credit for it, and it'll help your local search. So, why citations? What's the benefit of investing in citations? There's a number of reasons. First, they're going to give your business verification and trust at Google. And that's, of course, an important thing. So they're going to verify this is a real business that exists. The more places that mention you, the higher your trust score is going to be. They also demonstrate your prominence to Google. Let's say the hotel down the street is only mentioned on 15 different sites, but your hotel is mentioned at 60 different sites around the web. That indicates that you're more prominent, and that people are talking about you more than the other hotel, so this factors into your rankings. And finally, they're a relatively easy and inexpensive SEO tactic that any business can do. I like cheap things. And of course, SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization, in case you weren't aware. So it doesn't cost very much to make this work. You could hire an intern to do it. You could have your staff members go out there and find business listing sites and submit your business to them. You could even hire services to do this sort of thing. It's pretty surefire win for SEO. It's clear, it's obvious, and it's easy to do. Even if you don't have a website, you can still build citations. I did a search for yard maintenance Miramichi. There are some businesses that are ranking in the local pack. This one here, Dr. Green Lawn Care, they don't even have a website, yet they're ranked number 1. This can happen just through the strength of or the prominence of your citations and other factors. Even if you're a home-based business, maybe you have a small B&B, you can rank well using citations. Of course, having a website does have major advantages, and I would definitely advise that you get one if you don't already have one. And by the way, just a side note, TyNB offers free websites right now in partnership with New Brunswick Tourism. Just putting that out there. If you're interested or you know someone who would benefit from this, make sure you get a hold of me after. So, how does Google generate business listings? Sometimes you'll see a listing show up on Google that's unclaimed. Going back to our Dr. Green Lawn Care example, we see their business listing on the right. That's the Google My Business section, they call it. But no one's claimed it. See, it says, own this business. It's circled there. That means that this business is not claimed. It was generated on Google, and the business owner did not add it. So where does this come from? How does Google know these businesses exist? Well, here's a diagram on the Moz website from 2013 that helps explain this. In the middle, you have Google, and this is showing where all the data is coming from. They're getting it from sources like, let's see, they've got the government, Google Street View, 3 primary aggregator sources called Infogroup, Newstar, and Axiom, and the business owners themselves. Mapmaker's also mentioned on here, but they're no longer running. This is an older diagram, and I just can't draw well enough to do it myself. So there's a lot of different ways that Google is collecting data on businesses, and they can show up in Google My Business. Sorry, I got sidetracked there. They can show up in Google My Business. So a lot of your businesses will be listed even though they're not online. It's really important to keep the data correct. If the data from the aggregators doesn't match what they're getting from the government or the business owners, you could end up with duplicate listings. And so Google will lower your trust score for a business that they can't figure out which information is accurate for. So how do you submit your sites or your businesses? We'll assume you want to do this in-house rather than hire a third party to do it for you. It's actually a fairly easy process, so it just takes a little time and effort. I really believe most everyone here can do it. So start off with a list of quality sites that we produce here. This is just something that's easy for you to get to. Start with that, submit your businesses to all of these. And yes, the slides will be made available after today's presentation. Number 2, just run some searches in Google. Run a search like New Brunswick Business Directory or St. John Business Directory, Bathurst Business Directory. Just stick a location name in front of it. If you can get on a very local directory, that would not only give you the citation, but give you a specific local relevance factor. One that comes to mind off the top of my head is Mighty Miramichi. They're a local directory, of course, based in Miramichi, and that would definitely increase the local relevance. You can search by city, but you can also search by industry-specific directories. Let's say I typed in Hotel Business Directory. There are a lot of sites out there that deal with hotels. Some of them want to get money out of you, of course, but a lot of the time there's a workaround to get the free listing. You might just take a little bit of reading or looking through the site. You can also research your competitors' citations. That is a great way to find additional opportunities. Type in their business name in Google and see what comes up. I know I had a website years ago, and I made massive amounts of leaps forward based on researching my competitors. You could also use software to help. This is a piece of online software that's called a location citation finder. It might be a little bit of help for you. The system, what the system does is first return a list of the top 10 ranking businesses. Then it finds all of their citation sources. You can do 3 searches a day for free, then you need to pay for it. But it could be helpful. So let's talk about some best practices. Okay, you've decided that citations are for you. You want to go ahead with it. Before you do it, you should think about some of the best practices when doing this work. We're going to go through some of those right now. Before you submit, don't just go to the website and type in and add your business. You could end up creating a duplicate. You always want to check to make sure you're not already listed. Also, you might need to think about the possibility that your business was called something else in the past, or maybe it had a different address or phone number. So it could be that it's already listed, you just didn't notice. You want to run a search to find what are called NAP variations. Remember, name, address, phone number. So before you go and submit your information, make sure you're aware of any past changes that your business has gone through so you can ensure that you don't create a duplicate listing. Of course, this would be bad. It would decrease your Google relevancy score. When you create citations, if you can, use a domain-based email address. Don't use Gmail or Hotmail or something like that. Use an email based off of your business domain. That way your listings will have more trust. Plus, if you ever have to contact the site for a listing issue, they'll have no way of validating you because anyone could have a Gmail or Hotmail account, something like that. Makes it much easier if you have a domain-based email. Make sure you select the right categories when you're doing your listing and select as many as possible. Categories are pretty valuable. So the more categories you can do, it's almost like associating all those specific keywords with your business. In accommodations, for example, there's not that many variations, but we do have, say, hotels, accommodations, vacation rentals. If you have an event center, you could add those as categories. You want to try to find as many categories as possible to your specific business that are applicable. You don't want to go and spam the directory by using inapplicable categories, as this, of course, again, would hurt your overall ranking. The spamming days are long gone. The algorithms are too sophisticated, and you will get caught for that. You also want to make sure your listing is completed with as much information as possible. It's like food for Google. The more information you can put in there, the happier Google will be. Now, I keep saying Google. Of course, they're the #1 search engine worldwide. There are others. Bing is the #2 right now by Microsoft. So these are all valuable resources. And not just your name, address, and phone number, but if possible, add your hours of operation, payment methods, and especially a good description if that option is available. This is a great opportunity for you to really talk about what you're going to do or what you have to offer. What sets you apart? Don't just stuff it with keywords. Take the time, write the description in a way that's easily human readable, but more than just a couple of sentences. Take your time, write out a good description. I've done that for many different websites I've worked with, and if you really sit back and take the time first, then it'll go much smoother down the road. You can use that same description on multiple websites, but make sure you take the time to write a good description that hits all the main points of your business and the terms that you'd really want to be ranked for. Additionally, photos and videos are a super helpful way to get yourself out there, and if some of the sites out there will allow that. In tourism especially, there are great opportunities for lots of really good photos. Make sure you're adding pictures. If you have video walkthroughs of rooms or event centers or lobby area, whatever it might be, make sure you upload them. And if there's space for it, make sure you put in the captions. Again, this is food for Google, an opportunity to add more specific keywords related to your business. Okay, so photo captions, video captions, subtitles, anything like that, it is search engine food, as long as you're smart with the words you choose. Also, make sure you claim your listings. A lot of websites give you the option to claim a listing that's already with them. Once you've claimed it, you essentially lock it down so that no one else can modify the information. Here's an example of an unclaimed listing on TripAdvisor. It's a missed opportunity for the business. Once you've claimed your listing, you'll have full control over it. You'll be able to update all of your information, as well as be notified of any potential customer reviews if the site has that option. Now, right now, with accommodations and campgrounds, with the changes of the province, TripAdvisor is a requirement to be listed with them. So this is something that every business should be doing. Go to TripAdvisor, click that "Is this your business?" link, and lock it down. On a related note, when you're claiming and registering all of these new sites for your business, it might be a good idea to have a centralized spreadsheet with all of your usernames and passwords on it. This will be very handy if you need to pass it on to someone else in the business to look after all your listings down the road. Or if you really want to get fancy, and you can save yourself a lot of time, I personally recommend using LastPass.com. I'm not getting paid for this. I'm just saying. It's a wonderful website. It allows you to save all of your passwords to an encrypted database, and it's accessible from anywhere, anytime, provided you have internet access. You have one master password that you have to remember, and make it a good one, but then all other passwords can be as complicated as you want them to be. You'll never need to remember those passwords again. I've been using this for some time, and I absolutely love it. That's LastPass.com. Anyway, moving on. I've already started talking about number 6, and that is to keep all of your information organized in a spreadsheet. I've found a little template sample you can use. See the URL there on screen for a link to it. This is really important because if you go to the trouble of claiming all of these listings, and then there's a change of information with your company, you're going to need to remember what sites you're listed on. Or if you had somebody at your company create all of those listings for you, and then they leave the company, you'll need a way for this information to be passed on and accessed later. I've worked with different businesses who have come to me. They had someone set up all their listings for them 2 or 3 years ago, but now they have no idea how to access those sites. And now we're stuck trying to get access to all of these listings. And of course, that's where having a domain-based email address comes in really handy. Life will be just so much easier that way. It's much, much easier to prove who you are if you have a domain-based email. So definitely make sure you keep a detailed list of all your business listings along with the usernames and passwords. And of course, since this has your passwords in it, make sure only trusted individuals have access to the spreadsheet and keep it in a secure location. This one is kind of interesting. I've seen different people do it. If you don't want to do it yourself and look up all these different sources of citations, and you decide to hire a third party, don't hire dirt cheap citation building services. This often leads to trouble. Some of these guys use automated software to do the job, and it just doesn't work. Plus, if they make a mistake, you could be spreading misinformation about your company around the internet, which has the opposite effect of what you're trying to do and actually hurts your overall Google rankings. The dirt cheap guys, they're fairly easy to spot. They'll claim to produce over 1,000 local citations for something like $30. This guy here is $38.70 Canadian, and he'll give 1,250 local citations. That just doesn't happen. This is a job that needs to be done manually. If you don't have time to do it yourself, prepare to put some reasonable money forward to make sure it's done right. Or do a little bit at a time. Take your time, do it right, and it will pay off in the long run. So let's talk about citation consistency for a minute. I've touched on this a little bit already about why it's important, but in general, you want to make sure that your business listings are the same throughout the web. If Google doesn't have trust in the data, it can hurt your ability to rank, and if it doesn't match, you won't even get credit for it. Google won't apply it to you. Here's an example of a company with so many variations of their business out there that even though they've done a great job at getting their name out on the web, the results aren't showing for them because of inconsistency. And if you're still worried about it, here is a link to a website that will help you determine abbreviations and variations that you don't need to be concerned about. Also, in regard to consistency, you want to search out any and all NAP inconsistencies. That's name, address, phone number, inconsistencies. Once you've found all those variations, you want to go to each site and correct them. I'm not going to lie, this can be time consuming. Unfortunately, this is just part of what needs to be done. For example, if you were called Holiday Inn Fredericton versus Holiday Inn Express and Suites Fredericton, you would definitely want to claim and correct those listings and have them match up. Here's another website for you. This will give you a citation cheat sheet. Might help when it comes to claiming your listings or editing or even removing them. In some cases, if you have duplicates. This site provides a little how-to on each of the different sites listed. Plus, it's just fun to mention. Pigzilla. That's just great. So common questions that come up when it comes to building citations. Is it okay to use call tracking numbers? Until you get a paid arrangement with Yellow Pages or TripAdvisor, they often want to use call tracking numbers with your listing. This probably isn't a good idea for your business listings because you want to make sure that all of your listings are consistent. If you use call tracking numbers all across the internet, then Google gets confused and doesn't understand if it's the same business or a different business, and that's counter to what you're trying to do. One place where call tracking numbers are okay, believe it or not, is on your Google listing. You might be surprised to hear me say that, but you can do it on your Google listing because Google allows multiple phone numbers. Actually, so does TripAdvisor, if you noticed in the screenshot previously. So it's also okay there. You have the primary number, and that can be your tracking number, which is great for tracking how many people call you from Google or TripAdvisor or whatever, as long as you put in your real phone number in the secondary phone number slot. This way, you'll allow Google to still associate your business with all of your citations out there on the web that have your proper phone number. This way, you don't get disconnected from your Google listing and the rest of your mentions on the web, and it won't hurt your prominence score. Next question. Do you need to vary the business description on every website? No, thankfully you don't have to. You can use the same description on every site because that's what 99% of every business owner does. And Google knows this, and it's perfectly fine. Can it help to vary it on every site? Maybe a little bit, but I wouldn't waste your time doing that. It's not going to have that much of an impact, and to write 50 plus different descriptions isn't a good use of your time. There are definitely higher value SEO tactics that you can do to get more benefit than that. So, it's an option, but I just wouldn't do it. What about minor variations? Should I be worried about differences in my listings? For example, if you spell out street in one site and it's abbreviated ST period on another, Or maybe you put your phone number area code in brackets on one site but leave it open or use a dash on another. It really doesn't matter. Google is smart enough to know the difference between all these sites. So is Microsoft. You don't have to worry about it. Some sites will even force a particular formatting, so you don't even have to think about that. Another question, are there directories that are worth paying money for? There are some that are worth it, but you're mainly paying for a prominent placement on that site. Like with Google or Bing search engines, listing high up in a directory can lead to more traffic to your website. So if you can justify it from a conversion perspective, so you're going to actually get more leads from that site because you've placed higher, then yes. If you're doing it just for SEO, I would say no, probably not worth it. One way to actually improve your prominence on a lot of these sites is to get a trickle of reviews going. Yellow Pages is a great example of this. Yellow Pages is an extremely prominent site in Google's eyes, but if your listing is buried 4 or 40 pages deep, it really doesn't help all that much. What you want to do is get a handful of reviews on Yellow Pages, which will push your listings up past the others and hopefully get you to page 1. Of course, the more positive the reviews, that helps as well. One other question that has come up is regarding Wikipedia. How important is a link from Wikipedia? And is that considered a citation? Actually, it's extremely valuable. If you can get a Wikipedia page put up for your business, it will have been well worth your time. It will take work, though. Wikipedia is tough. In order to get a Wikipedia page put up, you need to... And that's all the time we have for today, folks. We're going to be covering this topic next week. Wikipedia, why your tourism business wants to be there, and how it can really help you. How's that for a teaser? Question has come up, can we find examples of free tie-and-be websites? Yes, I don't have any on links available at the moment, but I can certainly dig some up. I'll post them on the new tourism technology website, which is at the bottom of the screen now, tourismtech.tienb.com. And I will definitely send that out. I really appreciate everyone attending today's webinar. I think I've managed to keep it within a couple of minutes from going over time, so I appreciate that. Hope you found this information valuable. Please don't forget about the upcoming Google Analytics workshops happening this November across New Brunswick. There's more information at the website on screen, tourismtech.tienb.com. Really appreciate all of you attending. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of the day.